Hi, and welcome to Teaching Thursdays with the Catholic Veteran, where I properly teach and catechize you. And today we're diving into one of the greatest spiritual classics ever written, The Imitation of Christ by Thomas A. Kempis. And this is perfect timing because starting October 22nd, 2025, Father Mike Schmitz and Father Gregory Pine are launching season 4 of the Catholic Classics podcast from Ascension Press, walking you through this very book. And you can get this copy from Ascension Press at ascensionpress.com/Christ, and you can follow along with them. I'll be reading it too, so I invite you to join us for that journey. Now let's talk about what makes this book so powerful, why it lasted over 600 years, and why it's still changing lives today. And just a really quick aside, tune into yesterday's Whatever Wednesday, where I break down the entire Catholic Classics podcast from Ascension Press and all the books in the series. Thomas A. Kempis was a 15th century priest and a member of the Brothers of the Common Life, a group devoted to prayer, education, and living simply for God. He wasn't a bishop, he wasn't a pope, he was just a humble monk who lived quietly and wrote deeply about the interior life. And that's the key to the imitation of Christ. It isn't about grand theology or complex philosophy. It's about how to follow Christ in daily life, how to pray, how to stay humble, and how to detach from worldly praise, and how to love God above everything else. Kempis writes like a man who knows his audience, ordinary Christians who are trying to become saints in a noisy world. Does that sound familiar to you? The work is divided into 4 books, and each one builds on the last. Book 1, Admonitions for the Spiritual Life. This is where Thomas lays the foundation: humility, obedience, and self-denial. He says, if you wish to learn and appreciate something worthwhile, then love to be unknown and considered as nothing. That's a hard message in a culture obsessed with being seen, but that's exactly why it's needed. Book 2 is the interior life. Here he teaches that peace isn't found outside us, but within us. He writes, in silence and a peace, a devout soul advances in virtue. This is the antidote to the chaos we drown in every day. Book 3 is the interior consolation. It's a dialogue between Christ and the soul. Christ reminds us that joy doesn't come from comfort or possessions, but from union with him, even in suffering. Book 4, The Sacrament of the Altar. The final section centers on the Eucharist. Kempis calls the Eucharist the greatest consolation of the soul, where we encounter Christ himself, not symbolically, but truly and substantially. And right there, you see why so many saints love this book, because at its core, it's Eucharistic. It's about the total imitation of Christ, who humbles himself to become present to us under the appearance of bread and wine. The Imitation of Christ has been second only to the Bible in terms of its influence on Christian spirituality. St. Ignatius of Loyola carried it with him everywhere he went. St. Therese of Lisieux quoted it constantly. St. Pope John Paul II read from it daily. Even outside the Catholic Church, it's respected. Protestants, Orthodox, and even secular philosophers have acknowledged its wisdom. The reason is simple: it speaks directly to the human heart. It doesn't flatter us, it challenges us. It calls us to deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow Christ completely. Kempis doesn't just tell us what to believe, he tells us how to live it out, how to pray when prayer feels dry, and how to love when it's difficult, and how to trust when God feels silent. You and I both know we live in a world of noise, distraction, and pride. Everything around us screams, look at me. Kempis says, look at Christ. When we imitate Christ, we stop chasing the world's approval and start pursuing holiness. And here's what's powerful: you don't have to be a monk to do it. You don't have to live in a cloister or wear a habit. Every one of us, husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, workers, can live out this imitation daily. Every time you forgive someone, serve without recognition, or pray quietly in your car before a shift, you are imitating Christ. And that's what Thomas A. Kempis wanted to remind us. Holiness doesn't come from visibility, it comes from fidelity. If you want to live out the message of this book, here are 3 things you can start doing today. 1, practice silence. Turn off noise and let God speak. He's not absent, you're just distracted. 2, choose humility. Stop worrying about being seen or praised. As Kempis says, he who knows himself well is little in his own eyes and is not pleased when others praise him. 3, stay close to the Eucharist. The true imitation of Christ is to receive him, love him, and let him transform your heart. Do these 3 things consistently, and you'll start to understand what Kempis meant by the imitation of Christ. So if you want to go deeper, grab this edition from Ascension Press, the same one Father Mike Schmitz and Father Gregory Pine will be using in their podcast starting October 22nd, 2025. You can read along, listen each day, and grow spiritually with thousands of Catholics around the world. This isn't just reading a book, it's entering into a centuries-old conversation about how to become more like Christ. And if you've never read The Imitation of Christ before, now is the perfect time to start, because when you strip away everything else, every distraction, every excuse, and every comfort, the only thing that really matters is this: becoming like him. So grab your copy, mark your calendar for October 22nd, and then let's imitate Christ together. And remember, next week I'm going to be spending the whole week breaking down the live stream between Nisa and Patrick from Bible in Context. So make sure to check that out. Thank you for watching, and God bless.